What sentence should convicted hate crime hoaxer Jussie Smollett get? Should he just get a slap on the wrists, or should he get the maximum 3 years, or should the judge go even further? I want to hear from you, 217-629-7970. It is the WMAY Morning News Feed. I'm Greg Bishop, 812. Back in 2019, it was a cold day, like the coldest day of the year in Chicago. And Empire actor Jussie Smollett decided to go to Subway sandwiches, and he ultimately he's going to be facing. Is that today or tomorrow? I think it is tomorrow. Ha! Yeah, it might be. Either way, what do you think? When should Jussie Smollett get into court? You've got the possibility he could face 3 years. So Thursday's when that's going to be. What do you want to see happen there? Do you want to see Smollett? Just got a text from somebody. So yeah, here's the deal. I've had like 5 different court cases that I've had to try to keep track of. 2 of them aren't even happening anymore. And that's the case that Chicago Public Schools has about masks. And then you also had the case for the House that I love it. The case for the House mask mandate, that was also supposed to happen this week. I believe that was this morning, but that's not going to happen either because of the House decided to lift their mask mandate. But you've also got the Madigan hearing that's going to be happening today, and that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in federal court. While the Smollett case, it is right. Okay, Thursday's when that's actually going to be happening. So Smollett going to be going into court to face sentencing. And what kind of sentencing do you think he should get? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Pretty good. You know what? Because of the type of case it is and what he did, it's just like, setting civil rights back 10 years. I think he needs to get more than just 3 years. I think 5 years is a good round number. And before anybody goes, oh, it's too much, the problem is the next time an African-American comes up and says, this happened to me, people don't look and go, yeah, really? Okay, sure. Especially if it's somebody of his caliber and stature. And that's what you got to stop, because now you can't blame the people for saying, I don't believe you, when we know that it happens that people lie about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't just some it wasn't me that hit that car in the parking lot. No, this was a lie he was convicted of that sent shockwaves across the country, that had people using it, saying that, hey, this hate crime happened against an actor in Chicago. That shows that racism is rampant across the country. Yep. And people used that as an example of it, with that being the example they were using, without really pointing to other widespread examples. So it led to a whole host of things, let alone the tax dollars that were used to investigate this and the man hours that detectives had to use to investigate this, only to find out that indeed it was a hoax, and that's what he was convicted for. Appreciate the call, 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Greg, I want to see the trial of all the looters and rioters that did all the destruction. Was it 2020, I believe it was? My mind's a blur with all this.
I know it. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if that happens, right? Are we going to see some kind of trial on that? And listen, some people have been held accountable for that. There's been some people convicted of throwing incendiary devices into buildings and causing problems and whatnot. So that is happening, but you're not necessarily hearing about it in the news. And I think that's probably what you're looking for, is to actually hear more about that in the news. This is a high-profile case. It's an actor. He made up a story trying to get more prominence, I guess, ultimately convicted on 5 of 6 counts by a jury of his peers. He's going to be in court, not today. Correction, not today, tomorrow. But he faces up to 3 years in prison. Should he get less? Should he get more? Should he have to pay back the $100,000+ that Chicago City taxpayers had to pay to investigate what turned out to be a hate crime hoax? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning, Greg.
Hey.
Yeah, so I'm 41 years old. I've dealt with racism a lot in my life. I've even lost 1 or 2 jobs over it. For somebody to make up such a wild story to regain what he thought he had as far as his popularity, in the entertainment industry, that's just foul to me. It doesn't set right at all. And I'll tell you what, if they gave him 3 years, I'd give him a year and a half with half incarceration and the final half on some type of probation. And I mean, you don't want to leave him in there too long anyway, because he'll probably end up liking it.
Well, okay. All right. That's the zing of the day. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. One last call here. Jussie Smollett going to be in court tomorrow, and he faces up to 3 years in prison if convicted. Good morning. You think he should get the max?
I think he should get 3 years plus for the potential damage that could have happened with race riots and everything else. I think that district attorney ought to be gone and paying hefty fines, too, for her lack of doing her job.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of fumbling that happened with Kim Fox, the state's attorney in Cook County, and she apparently said that she's going to talk more openly about the case after the sentencing. But what's going to be fascinating is this is going to be televised. They have allowed cameras in the courtroom for Thursday's hearing of Jussie Smollett being sentenced. So we'll see exactly what the demeanor is going to be. And I think one of the big things that plays into this is, has Smollett shown any remorse or even inkling that he feels sorry for what happened? And that's going to play into the sentencing, I think. And again, that's tomorrow, not today. I was mistaken on that, but I appreciate all the calls so far. All right, one last one. Good morning. You're on WMAY. You think Smollett should get the maximum 3 years or just a slap on the wrist?
Oh, he should get more than 3 years. This was basically political subterfuge at the same time. I mean, they basically said, this is MAGA country. Since it was all staged, I'm sure that was thought out. I'm sure that was purposeful.
Well, he said that he goes after 45 hard, and he was talking about Donald Trump.
I know. And then the media sits back, and you got to think that, with all the respect that she deserves, when she looked him in the eye and accepted that answer, how do you call yourself a true journalist if that's how you interview literally the person of that what could be the hoax?
And you're talking about, I can't remember if it was like an ABC morning show.
I think it was Robin Roberts.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. But, and she was talking to who she thought was a victim. All right. And so you got to give a little leeway there. But then at the same time, when she says something like looks him in the eyes and says, beautiful, that raises some concerns.
Do you really think she thought he was a victim? I mean,
I do. I think a lot of people thought he was a victim because he said he was a victim. It wasn't until the Chicago police started really digging a bit deeper and found the Osendero brothers, and then they're like, "Wait a second, these guys are from Nigeria. They're not white supremacists running around with MAGA hats on." The whole thing it fell apart rather rapidly after Smollett did the media rounds. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in court. That's going to be interesting because it will be televised. But today we've got a court case where Speaker Madigan is actually going to be facing that 22-count indictment. We'll see what happens in that. He's claimed innocence, and this could mean a protracted legal battle in federal court against the former Illinois House Speaker. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow here on the WMAY Morning News Feed. Now, 8:20, and let's take a look at that forecast.